Hey, what's up everybody? This is Shadow Walker Cosplay here. I'm Chris and we're here very excited to bring you a special walkthrough tutorial of Darth Nihilus. I've always been very excited about this because Darth Nihilus has always been one of my favorite Sith ever since I first started playing, some of the old Republic games. I just think he's got a really cool look and it's something I've been wanting to do for quite some time. Now we're not going to be able to give you the full-on step-by-step tutorial because unfortunately I already started building this costume and had most of it complete before we actually started our channel. But I will walk you through exactly how I did everything and the materials that are going to be needed in case you want to follow suit and do the same thing. Now most of the materials that I have is fabric. Almost all of it is fabric just because it's just got layers of black on them. And I was actually able to make all of that based off of some material that I picked up at Walmart. But there are some other things that are going to be needed to purchase. I don't have a 3D printer yet, so I did have to buy the Nihilus mask on eBay. We'll supply a link to that down in the comment section below. And then the mask itself, it comes black. You have to paint it yourself, but I think that's all right because it really gives you kind of like a labor of love, if you will, to really customize it. Choose exactly the right tone of red and silver that you want for your mask. In addition to that, this black mask that came underneath, just picked that up from a local costume store in Grand Junction. It's called Mad Margaret. Shout out to them. If you live in the area, you can go and purchase it from them. I did have to make a few modifications to that mask. First of all, the eye holes in these masks seem to be made for very small children, so I did have to take a knife and kind of cut them open a little bit so I could see a little bit better in there. And that can be easily done with a utility knife. It's alright if there's some rough edges. It's Nihilus. A lot of his stuff is rough anyway. In addition to that, I did have to modify and put an elastic strip on the back because this little flimsy string that it comes with isn't really enough to hold it down to your face when the hood is attached and everything gets very tough. I used some of the Gorilla Glue that you see in the foreground to glue the two masks together, as well as to glue that elastic strip onto the back of the mask. As long as we're on the subject of things that have to be purchased, you also are going to have to purchase just some nice costume gloves. I've had these for a while, also got them at Mad Margaret's. There's something that you can use multiple times for different costumes. It's always good to try to save some money by just continuing to repurpose some things. Also going to need what is known as a balaclava. I use this to help kind of obscure some of any flesh that can be seen when I put the mask on, as well as to hold the voice changer in place. You're also going to need a little see-through black mask. Now this I got at Mad Margaret's as well. It's unfortunately called a disappearing manhood, which is a terrible name when you put it all together. But essentially it's just a mask that you can put on, you can see through it, and it prohibits people from being able to see your eyes, which adds to that nice creepy effect for the Nihilus. One other thing that was purchased from Mad Margaret's, voice changer. Now you really want to get one that's nice, that has all kinds of different settings on it, so you can adjust it and make it sound exactly the way you want. So then when you're kind of whispering into it nice and creepily, it gets that nice effect so that you can make children wet themselves when they see you walking around in this costume. You're also going to need some simple items like a belt. Any belt will do. I just use an old army belt that I have, and you'll see how it gets applied later on when I put everything together. You're going to need some supplies, like I mentioned already, the Gorilla Glue. You're going to need some fabric fusion, which also is available at Walmart. In fact, all this is available at Walmart, and some contact cement. This is just for making sure everything gets together and stays together the way that you want them to. Just going to set these aside for a second. Now, all those materials were used in lieu of sewing. We just don't have a sewing machine right now. Hopefully we'll be getting one soon, but honestly with this costume it wasn't absolutely necessary. If you can sew and you have a sewing machine, all power to you, and then you won't necessarily have to use that fabric fusion. I like it because it's simple, it sets up nice and quickly, and you can wash it. Last thing is you're going to need some boots. Now these cosplay boots that I got, they're actually pretty pricey. I got them a while ago. I can't even remember where I got them. But I considered them a worthwhile investment because I get to repurpose them a lot. I use them for Batman, I use them for Jon Snow, I use them for Darth Nihilus. I'm probably going to use them for several other costumes that are coming up in the future as well. So it's definitely something that's nice to have on hand. Basically any black boots will do. Going to need some polyfill, just a little bit, so you won't necessarily need a bag this big. We just use this stuff for a lot of stuff when it comes to stuffing, as you're going to see in some later on videos. You're also going to need to just have a few basic things like some black sweatpants or black pants of any kind that are just going to go good. It doesn't really matter because they're mostly going to be obscured anyway. Just everything on Nihilus is black, so you just have those on hand. Also just a nice old black long sleeve shirt with a high collar. It's going to come in handy when it comes to putting everything together. The last bit of material that you're going to need is you're going to need some foam for this top piece. We just use floor mats. You can pick those up at Home Depot, Lowe's. It's a little bit more expensive at those places. We go to a place called Harbor Freight that's here in Grand Junction. I think they're located in a few other places as well. And you can get them for basically half the price. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of this. Just fabric picked up from Walmart. I've got two different kinds here, just a plain old black fabric and a nice faux leather. Both of these kinds of fabric are nice and cheap. You don't have to go to like the cosplay section of Joann Fabrics to pick this up. It can be very affordable to get it. So I'll start with the belt that we made here. It's this faux leather. Basically, you just take two different strips of the faux leather, different widths. This is where the contact cement comes into play because this stuff doesn't stick very well using the fabric fusion. After you have your length cut down that you need, you just run a layer of contact cement over each of those edges, fold them in. Did that again with this layer as well. And then once those are nice and set, then you just run another layer of the contact cement over it and put it down. Then it gives you this nice layered effect, followed with some snaps that you can put in. Snap kits, also available at Walmart. No, Walmart is not paying us, it's just they're nice and affordable, and I like saving money. Now, on to the actual fabric. The first thing that you're gonna wanna do is work on the skirt. And the skirt is going to be 2 layers. They're wide enough to go across your waist, and you just cut it, you weather the crap out of it with some scissors, and then you take another strip, you weather the crap out of that with some scissors, and then you use that fabric fusion to glue it down together. And when I say weather the crap out of it with some scissors, you can see all along these edges here. I just took some scissors and just basically chopped the crap out of it. It doesn't even matter how you do it because when you look at Nihilus, he's very wispy, very ghost-like. So all of his stuff is kind of tattered, and even through the actual body of it, I also took some scissors and was like cutting some holes here and there. It gives it a nice wispy, wraith-like appearance when you put it all together. Next up is the vest. Now the vest, it was actually really simply made. I've never made a vest before, but I was just able to put this all together simply by laying out a strip of the fabric, same fabric for the skirt, same fabric that I used for the cape, just nice and long, and basically just cut a design with just the teardrop look going up the middle, and then a little bit out for the sleeves as well. And then I just folded it together and used that fabric fusion right there on the edges, put it all together. Suddenly this long strip of fabric just became a vest. The hardest part is really the cape when it comes to assembling it. Now you can really do this by keeping it all in one long big piece. And you can see here on the inside that there's all this bit where it just kind of, it crimps together, almost like an elastic band that gets formed in that. So what I did really is I just drew out a nice big semicircle that went all the way from one side of the fabric, a nice long rectangle piece of fabric, all the way around to the other side. And then I took a nice strip of the same, I can't grab it, a nice strip of the same fabric and laid it over the top of that, and then some more of it that was nice and fat, and fabric fusioned the crap out of it so that it holds together. Then it can be pulled, it can cinch down, become like an elastic seam that's there that was all just created simply with a couple semicircles and some fabric fusion. Also, as you can see, then I centered and glued this piece of the foam in place, cut it to exactly how I wanted it. But the gluing there is also something that can be kind of a pain, because since when you look at the top of Nihilus's head, there's rolls that are in that piece, you have to take a knife and just kind of cut some wedges into that foam and then glue with making sure that you have a little bit of space between those wedges so you can kind of puff up the fabric a little bit, glue that into place there. And then that's when you take that polyfill and you stuff the polyfill down into these little fingers, and it creates these ridges to give it that nice kind of wrinkled effect on the top. In addition to that, then you put in some Velcro here on the hood part where it's going to attach to the mask. It's kind of complicated to try to get it exactly. You're going to have to put the mask up to it several times to make sure that it's centered and it's going to go exactly where you want it to go. But this is very key. This is probably one of the most important parts when it comes to capturing the look of Nihilus when you put it all together. Now, with all that being said and done, we're just going to move this table and we're going to show you the whole costume going on. Okay, so I already have the shirt and the pants on as well as the boots. I didn't figure anybody wanted to watch me buckle all those buckles. I also have attached the voice changer here. Now I'm going to put the balaclava on and attach the mouthpiece of the voice changer to it. So this has to come up through the neck and then clip onto here. Now, I also have to then pull this down so it'll actually stay right over my mouth. So it's like a so here where it's clipped right in front of my mouth. Now, for the rest of this tutorial, I'm just going to remove it so that it's easier for me to talk to you. Okay, so now that that's on, we're going to put on the skirt. And you want it close to the ground, but you also want to be able to walk. So you want to put it too high, but you put it up so it's nice and high on the waist. Grab whatever belt you're going to use. Cinch it down. And fold that over. Time for the vest. Simply put it on, but you don't wrap it just yet. You gotta wait. Moving into the hard part. We have to attach this to this. It has to happen first because otherwise it's a pain in the ass to try to put it all together once it's on. Okay, I got the mask attached to the hood. It's very important to do this before you try to put it on because like I said, when you're trying to put this in after everything's on, it's really hard to try to get it right because of trying to match that Velcro up. So I'll take a step forward and you can see how it all should look on the inside. You just kind of have to work it around, make sure that those Velcro strips line up with one another, and then it's ready to go on. Now before we put this on, there's just one more thing we have to do, and that is to put on your disappearing manhood. But hopefully it won't disappear on you forever. Now fortunately you can see through this. It does limit your visibility just a little bit, but it's not so much that it becomes an impairment. So now comes the fun part. The absolutely hardest part of the whole dang process. You gotta take the elastic band, working it over the top of your head as you bring the mask down. Now it's kind of a pain to do this, but it's absolutely essential because that's what's going to get everything to line up exactly how you want it. So I gotta turn so I can see myself in the mirror that we have set up. Okay, now that you have it on and you've finagled it around, it's time to wrap these inside. And this is why you didn't put the vest on just yet, wrap it around, because this actually tucks around on the inside of that vest. You want to have it go nice and tight around your chest and pull those strings real good and taut and come around to the front to tie it all off. And this is all going onto the vest, so it doesn't matter what kind of knot you tie. I just tie a knot the same way as if I'm trying to tie my shoelaces. Just make a nice easy bow to come off later. Now you're going to take these folds and you're going to pull them in. So you get a nice clean look up top. After having done that, now it's time to go ahead and close it all off, wrap that vest around your waist, and finish off with your belt. Wrap around, it's
a lot easier to do this buckling up front, and then you can just pivot that belt on all around, get to the back of your waist. And you just pivot that all around. The seams in the back and obscured by the cape. Might need to fix your vest just a little bit. Make sure everything's in place. Then you put on the gloves, and ta-da! You're a Dark Lord of the Sith.
So I could feel something else. Yeah, I guess I had my bad days, but it doesn't mean I lost my style. Darling, where were you when my heart was on the ground? I thought time would prove that you would stick around. I guess time stood still, a king without his crown.
Alright, thanks for watching. Hopefully if you want to do a Darth Nihilus costume, this has really helped you out. It's been a lot of fun to build. We're Shadow Walker Cosplay, and we will see you next time.
I'm tired.